This video comprises part 2 of a 4-part series discussing the clinical research study entitled Improving Satisfaction in Intimate Relationships. In this video, the terms participant and respondent are used interchangeably. Method: participants. A sample of convenience was used. 200 questionnaires were distributed and 142 were returned. This indicates a response rate of 71%. Thus, there were 142 participants involved in the study. 54, or 38%, of the participants were male, and 88, or 62%, of the participants were female. The ages of participants ranged from 18 to 84, with the mean age being 37, and with a standard deviation of 13.55. 94, or 66%, of the participants were married. The length of the relationships of participants ranged from 1 to 795 months, with the mean length of relationship being 52 months, with a standard deviation of 23.20. The only criterion for inclusion in the study was that participants must have been involved in a relationship at the time of the study, and both members of the relationship agreed to be participants in the study. Materials and procedure. For the purpose of this study, a convenience sampling plan was used. The convenience sampling plan is a form of non-probability sampling, where the participants are selected according to their availability, accessibility, and proximity to the researcher, according to Erdan 2005. Willingness to participate in the study was characterized in this case by the positive response of the participant to the researcher's invitation to join the study, as invited during a telephone call. A questionnaire was compiled for the purpose of this study and consisted of measures from a number of different sources. This self-report measure assessed the abandonment fear and relationship satisfaction of participants. The questionnaire was divided into 2 sections and was 5 pages long. The sections will be discussed in the order in which they were administered to participants. Questions concerning abandonment fear were included in the Exchange Orientation Abandonment Fear section, or Section 1, and questions relating to relationship satisfaction were included in the Relationship Satisfaction section, or Section 2. The questionnaire also included a demographics section entitled Personal Information. Attached to the front of the questionnaire was a letter of introduction from the director of Blue Marble University, Dr. Walter Drake, the university where I was a candidate for a PhD in clinical psychology. The letter introduced myself as a candidate for a PhD in clinical psychology at Blue Marble University and informed participants that the questionnaire would contain questions concerning their relationships. The letter of introduction also informed participants that A, their involvement in the study was voluntary, B, they were free to discontinue their participation at any time, C, all responses were confidential and no participant would be individually identifiable, and D, that the research had been approved by the director of Blue Marble University. The letter of introduction informed participants that if they had a query concerning the questionnaire that they were to contact me directly. My telephone number was included in the letter of introduction, which accompanied the questionnaire. A debriefing letter from the director of Blue Marble University was enclosed in a sealed envelope and sent to participants with the questionnaire. Participants were instructed to read the debriefing letter only after they had completed the survey. This letter thanked participants for their involvement in the study, informed the participants of some general information concerning relationships, of the purpose of the study, and how the data obtained from the questionnaire would be used. In addition, participants were informed that if they became upset by the contents of the questionnaire, that they were to contact the Talk Hotline, a telephone counseling service. The telephone number for the Talk Hotline was contained in the debriefing letter. Personal information. At the end of the questionnaire was a demographics section, wherein questions concerning age, sex, marital status, and length of current relationship were posed. Section 1. Survey of Motivation to Monitor Exchange. The Survey of Motivation to Monitor Exchange, adapted and used to measure abandonment fear in the current study, was originally developed by me in order to measure exchange orientation. However, this survey was chosen to measure clients' level of abandonment fear in the present study, as the questions within it directly relate to abandonment fear. The questions within the Survey of Motivation to Monitor Exchange post real-life examples of occurrences that typically occur within romantic relationships and measure the participants' reactions to these events in terms of the extent to which they worry that their partner will abandon them based on the posed event. For instance, one of the questions from the survey reads, "When my partner's contributions to the relationship decrease, I worry that he or she is about to leave me." The Survey of Motivation to Monitor Exchange was also chosen to measure abandonment fear, as it has high reliability, and because no other measures of abandonment fear depicting situations in the context of romantic relationships could be found. The Survey of Motivation to Monitor Exchange Abandonment Fear utilized a Likert scale. Participants recorded the number from 1 to 5 that best indicated their response to each item. 1 stood for never and 5 stood for very often. Participants recorded the number from 1 to 5 that best indicated their response to each item. The participants' scores on each item were then summed to give an index of the respondent's level of abandonment fear. High scores on items 1, 2, and 3 indicated that the respondent had a high level of abandonment fear, and low scores indicated that the respondent had a low level of abandonment fear. There were 3 items in the Survey of Motivation to Monitor Exchange, and the range of possible scores spread from 3 to 15. The reliability for the Survey of Motivation to Monitor Exchange was 0.93. The Survey of Motivation to Monitor Exchange was developed for the present study, and therefore no other measures of internal consistency can be reported. Section 2. Relationship Satisfaction. Vannauker and Bunk's 1990 Relationship Satisfaction Survey was used to measure relationship satisfaction. Respondents were asked to rate statements such as, "I feel happy when I'm with my partner," on a Likert scale from 1 to 5, according to how well each statement described their feelings concerning their relationship, where 1 stood for never and 5 stood for very often. Participants recorded the number from 1 to 5 that best indicated their response to each item. These numbers were then summed to give an index of the respondent's relationship satisfaction. A low score on items 1, 3, and 7 of this measure indicated that a participant possessed low relationship satisfaction, while a high score indicated high relationship satisfaction. Items 2, 4, 5, 6, and 8 were reverse coded, as a high rating on these items indicated low relationship satisfaction. There were 8 items in this section of the questionnaire. The range of possible scores was from 8 to 40. The Relationship Satisfaction Survey was chosen to measure relationship satisfaction in this study, as it is a widely used measure and reaches acceptable levels of internal consistency. Vannauker and Bunk in 1990 and 1991 reported acceptable internal consistency levels of 0.87 and 0.88 respectively. The reliability of this scale for the present sample was 0.91. Secondary measure of relationship satisfaction. In addition to using Vannauker and Bunk's 1990 questionnaire, the first item of Bachman's 1997 relationships questionnaire was used in analyses to measure relationship satisfaction. The item reads, "Overall, I am satisfied with the relationship I have with my partner." This measure utilized a Likert scale from 1 to 5. Participants recorded the number from 1 to 5 that best indicated their response to the item. This number gave an index of the respondent's relationship satisfaction. A low score on this measure indicated low relationship satisfaction. The range of possible scores was from 1 to 5. The reliability of this scale could not be calculated as it only contained one item. Full approval was granted by the director of Blue Marble University before any of the participants were approached. Participants were telephoned by me, and I explained the purpose of the study and the requirements of the participant to complete the questionnaire, and asked whether the participant would agree to partake in the study. Participants who consented to involvement in the study received the questionnaire by mail. Participants were instructed to seal their completed questionnaire in the prepaid addressed envelope provided to them by me. Participants sent their completed questionnaire to me directly. Participants were asked to respond to the questionnaire in the order in which it was presented. Participation in the study was voluntary. Participants were asked to complete the questionnaire alone and in a distraction-free environment. Participants were also instructed not to inform their partner that they were completing the questionnaire until they had returned it, as it was thought that the accuracy of the respondents' answers might be impacted if it were possible for their partner to view their responses. The raw data from the responses to the survey instrument were transferred and saved in a password-protected computer file. The responses provided to each of the questions were imported into a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Each of the participants who completed the survey instrument were assigned a unique control number. The control number was used to maintain the confidentiality of the participants, as well as to specify which responses corresponded to the particular participants in the study. Personal information such as name of the respondents and email addresses were separated from the control numbers and corresponding data. To control for duplicate survey respondents, SurveyMonkey used email addresses to identify the participants and to ensure that each participant could only participate in the study one time.